Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's September 17th, 2018, and this is another episode of Ask Me Anything. Recently I posted a video entitled on growing and consuming watermelon for their nutritional benefits, namely the phytonutrient citrulline. Citrulline has been reported to reduce delayed onset muscle soreness associated with excessive exercise or stress, where you get these little micro tears in your muscles and you don't feel the pain right away, but the next day you're profoundly sore. And by consuming consuming citrulline or watermelon, that can reduce the degree of discomfort that one experiences the next day. So that's one benefit. The other benefit is that citrulline is a precursor to arginine, which is a precursor to nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator, reducing the relaxing the blood vessels, the diameter of the blood vessels, decreasing blood pressure, peripheral blood pressure, systemic blood pressure, and thereby increasing the flow of blood throughout our circulatory system, including our coronary arteries, our central nervous system, and increases blood flow throughout our body. So that's important. 1994, Abby Girl had said, geez, this is a great video. I wonder if this would be beneficial for fibromyalgia. So I'm going to try not to interject too much into this video so that it becomes too long. But the first thing I'll say is I've only known a handful of people, a couple of my clients in the past, and a couple of friends who have shared with me that they have fibromyalgia. And fibromyalgia, from what I understand, based on my readings and what people have shared with me, it's profound musculoskeletal discomfort, pain, debilitating, depression, mood alterations, sleep, difficulty sleeping, decreased energy. Totally affecting our state of mind and our physical health. There is a greater prevalence among women than men. There has been some correlations with family members having it, so there may be a genetic predisposition. There's been some correlations with infection, and recently of profound interest to me is the Human Microbiome Project and dysbiosis. Having, I'll just say, the wrong bugs, the wrong microbes in our digestive system, and that affecting our gut to brain axis. So that our gut is always communicating with our central nervous system, and that can have a profound effect on our state of mind, on our mood, on our energy level, and certainly our gut also has an effect on our immune system. It has an effect on our on the degree of inflammation that we have in our body, the antioxidants that are being absorbed, and so on. So a couple of disclaimers. So number one, I'll say that I am a retired veterinarian, internal medicine specialist, board certified. I am not a medical physician. I am not giving medical advice at this point. I want to provide information as I know it thus far, and so that you can do the research for yourself and do further investigation, and you can share that information with your healthcare provider and work as a team together to help accomplish whatever goals you set out for yourself. So that's my role, is just trying to share information and encourage people to own their own health responsibilities. Another bit of information I'd like to share is that in a couple of the articles that I'm going to share with you, there's talk of vegetarian, there's a talk of vegan. There isn't the discussion of whole food plant-based, but I just wanted to differentiate those as far as I see them. So a vegetarian, someone who practices a vegetarian lifestyle, typically is avoiding all meats, but they will still consume dairy and egg products in many circumstances, and certainly dairy, the cheeses and ice creams and all of those things. A vegan diet, someone who's strict vegan, doesn't consume any animal products, whether they're eggs, they're dairy, or any meats, including fish as well. Neither of those are the same as a whole food plant-based diet. A whole food plant-based diet is really looking at, we want to consume the whole food, the whole plant, and avoid all of the animal products, but we often want to avoid added salts, added sugars, added fats, genetically modified pesticides as well. And that's where I'm at. We're always trying to grow the most nutrient dense food products, the diversity of food products, whether it's in our food forests or in our vegetable gardens. Wherever it may be, we want to have the appropriate climate appropriate plants growing that we can consume the whole foods, decrease the amount of processing to these foods, not adding additional salts and oils and so on, so we don't cook with oils, and so on and so forth. So that I see a vegetarian diet being quite different than a vegan diet, and a vegan diet and vegetarian diet, although they may share many similarities with a whole food plant-based diet, they are not identical as far as I'm concerned, the definitions. One other point I need to make that I need to make a video about in the future is the synergistic effects of consuming the whole food versus taking a nutraceutical or a vitamin supplement or a multivitamin. In Western medicine, and I'm a victim of this as well, or a perpetuator of this, as a clinician, we're trained in the West to reduce, and try to find the silver bullet. If it's an herb, we try to find the key element that does it. And if it's a food product, we'll say, oh, take vitamin C, that comes from the orange. Whatever it may be. And a video that I'll create in the future I'm hoping to share with you my belief that it's the synergy, it's the sum of the parts isn't nearly as beneficial as the whole of the plant. So I hope that makes sense, and I'll make a video about that in the future when things slow down around here. But anyways, I'm going to include two videos from Dr. Greger from nutritionfacts.org, and I'll post in the upper right-hand corner a link to two different videos, a book that Dr. Greger has published called How Not to Die, and it has many different medical conditions and the peer-reviewed literature that there's dietary information, research talking about different food groups and all, and how that either perpetuates a disease process, a specific disease syndrome, or potentially could alleviate or treat or potentially even cure some disorders, such as cardiovascular disease, which is heart disease, cancer, and chronic COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So, and that's just a few of them. There's a whole variety of diseases that are described there. The other references to nutritionfacts.org, the website that I think everyone should get familiar with. So you can go there, you can watch one of his videos, read one of his blogs. And the great thing about his website is all of the every bit of literature that he shares or he incorporates in his blog or in his videos is cited. So you can pull the paper and see, geez, who funded this study? What was the study design? Was this the Broccoli Association trying to push broccoli? Whatever it may be. Which is, this day and age, we need to make sure that affiliations, funding, relationships are disclosed when we're reading some recommendations. So anyways, those are the two sites that'll be linked in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to include 2 video clips on fibromyalgia and the potential benefits of a vegetarian diet and a vegan diet. There are 2 videos that were done about 5 years ago. And I won't say any more about I won't rephrase what Dr. Greger is going to share in those videos. However, I'll mention one additional thing. So another area of intense interest on my part is studying the Human Microbiome Project. So one of the reasons I'm so interested in the Human Microbiome Project and the effect is there's definitely a lot of evidence showing that what we're consuming affects the microbial communities within our large intestine. And the microbial community can either have beneficial effects on our health and well-being and longevity, or can have detrimental effects on our health and longevity. So it's all about quality of life and how long we're going to live. And some of the things that we consume in the standard American diet promote inflammation and leakiness of our digestive system, can through the gut-brain axis provide us with mood disorders, fatigue as well. And again, that sounds a little like some of the symptoms associated with fibromyalgia. It can microbial communities in the digestive system can either promote inflammation systemically throughout our whole body, and basically like wear and tear on our body systems, whereas other microbial communities can help to seal up the blood-gut barrier, making it less permeable to endotoxins getting into our blood and causing the havoc. Some of the fiber, there's phytonutrients that are linked to the fiber when we're eating enough fiber in our diet, and those phytonutrients are absorbed more easily. We have, as a result of some of the fibers being digested in our digestive system, some phytonutrients that are actually manufactured by the bacteria within our digestive system, and they're absorbed, so they become biologically active to us as well. So there's so many wonderful things that we're learning from the microbiome, and so doing some searches on PubMed or Medline for fibromyalgia and microbiome, there's an ever expanding population of research studies being posted. And again, I always recommend looking to see who's funding the studies, what the authors have produced in the past, their study design, their statistical analysis, their discussions, and it's really important that we critically look at why is this paper being produced, why is it being portrayed in this way, which is really an important step in reviewing the literature when instead of just blindly saying, well, this doctor or came out of the Mayo Clinic or came out of University of Pennsylvania, wherever, it's more important to look and see, geez, is there a bias as well? So there's so much great information associated with what we're eating, and being a whole food, plant-based, nutrient-intensive gardener farmer, and incorporating diversity, a great deal of diversity in the foods that we grow and we're consuming regularly, and doing minimal processing, avoiding pesticides, and avoiding genetically modified foods. All of these things work hand in hand together to constantly be, well, one of my goals is to every day to continually be improving myself, whether it's my mental health, my intellectual health, my physical health, whatever it is, always trying to build a new and improved version of myself. I'm not going to go by the old saying, oh, you're getting older, therefore you're going to be able to do less good things in your life as a result of your age. I think that that myth has been bared out to be incorrect until we get very advanced in our age. So I'm going to link up those 2 videos from Dr. Greger to follow. If there's more questions or comments, I'd be happy to expand on this. I know it's a little bit disjointed the way that I've put this video together, but hopefully it's made some sense. And if you found it of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, hit that bell icon if you want to be notified when we post more videos. And have a super fantastic day, folks. Bye-bye now.
Millions suffer from fibromyalgia, a condition characterized by months of widespread pain, as well as fatigue, sleep disorders, depression, anxiety, cloudy thinking, headaches, low back pain, and other illnesses. It has an enormous impact on the quality of life of patients, who may experience a reduced capacity to carry on the activities of daily living. Everyday activity becomes more difficult, more time-consuming, or simply impossible. Its cause is unknown, and there's no effective treatment for this illness. What can we do for those who suffer? Well, according to the latest review on fibromyalgia and nutrition, a vegetarian diet could have some beneficial effects, but based on what kind of evidence? Well, back in 1991, a survey was sent to a few hundred folks suffering from various chronic pain conditions, including fibromyalgia, asking if they found any success trying different diets. Some folks tried a vegetarian diet, some folks tried a vegan diet. Some reported the various diets helped with pain, stiffness, and swelling. Vegan diets were reported to reduce disease symptoms more effectively than the vegetarian diet with rheumatoid arthritis. But what we needed was to put these diets to the test in formal studies. First one was in '93. 10 fibromyalgia patients were put on a vegetarian diet for 3 weeks. The measured levels of oxidation and inflammation and cholesterol went down, no surprise, but of interest from a clinical point of view is the positive effect of the treatment upon pain status of most of the patients. 7 out of 10 felt better. They weren't sure if it was the improved condition of the fibromyalgia patients in the course of treatment with a vegetarian diet, whether it was due to the improvement of their antioxidant status, or what it was about a meat-free diet that seemed to help so much. A vegan diet was first put to the test in 2000 in Helsinki. You can tell English is not the researchers' first language, with sentences like, "Plants face heavy load of light." The point they're making is good, though. UV light generates free radicals in their tissues. All this means is that plants must be well prepared to meet the challenges of the oxidant radical stress, and contain a broad variety of antioxidants. That's why plants don't get sunburned and their DNA damaged hanging out all day in the sun without any sunblock on. So what would happen if you had people live exclusively on plant items? In other words, what might be the effects of a strict vegan diet on the symptoms of fibromyalgia? In fact, this study used a raw vegan diet. The rheumatoid patients said they felt better when they started to eat the living food diet, and the symptoms got worse when they returned back to their previous omnivorous diet. But what about the fibromyalgia patients? Both groups reported having quite a lot of pain at rest in the beginning of the study, but there was a significant decrease in the raw vegan group, which gradually disappeared after shifting back to the omnivorous diet. They also found other significant changes, such as improvement in the quality of sleep, a reduction of morning stiffness, and improvement in measures of general health. So, for example, here's morning stiffness. The light bar represents those about to go on the raw vegan diet, and the dark bar is the omnivorous control group. They started out about the same, but after about a month and a half, those eating vegan felt significantly less stiff, which continued through the end of the 3-month study. And when they went back to eating their regular diet, the stiffness returned. What about pains at rest? Same thing. So, significant improvements in fibromyalgia stiffness, pain, and general health on a plant-based diet. The study only lasted 3 months, but it can be concluded that eating vegan has beneficial effects on fibromyalgia symptoms, at least in the short run. Raw vegan diets seem to really help reduce fibromyalgia symptoms. But what about just a mostly raw diet? That was tried next. Fibromyalgia engulfs patients in a downward, reinforcing cycle of unrestorative sleep, chronic pain, fatigue, inactivity, and depression. So they tested whether a mostly raw, and actually vegan diet would significantly improve fibromyalgia symptoms, and boy did it. FIQ is the standard survey designed specifically to measure the impact of fibromyalgia on a person's life. At the beginning of the study, they were doing pretty bad. By 2 months, though, they were doing significantly better, and by the end of the study, at 7 months, there were significant improvements in each one of these measures, so less physical impairment. They were feeling better, less absenteeism, less pain, fatigue, stiffness, anxiety, depression. In summary, a diet intervention using a mostly raw, pure vegetarian diet produced dramatic improvements in fibromyalgia syndrome symptoms. When this study was reviewed by Current Rheumatology Reports, the editor noted that it had the most impressive results of any recent fibromyalgia treatment study. For example, nearly 3 times the improvement that the Mayo Clinic reported for their fibromyalgia program. Yes, it was not a double-blind, placebo-controlled study, but as they note, it's difficult to design such a study when it comes to diet, since people tend to notice when they've switched to a vegan diet. So, raw vegan diets worked. Mostly raw vegan diets worked. Even just eating vegetarian seemed to help. What about just eating mostly vegetarian? That was the one tried most recently. Fibromyalgia symptoms put on a mostly vegetarian diet for 2 weeks, and did not see any significant improvement. Maybe if they gave it more time, we don't know. Bottom line is that the best available science to date suggests eating plant-based diets, whether vegetarian or vegan, may help people with fibromyalgia. Just because the best science we have doesn't mean it's necessarily very good science, right? These were all very small, poorly controlled, relatively short-term studies. But what's the downside of giving it a try? Turns out that people with chronic widespread pain syndromes tend to eat pretty crappy diets, perhaps explaining their higher rates of other chronic diseases such as cancer and cardiovascular disease. So even if a healthy diet doesn't help their fibromyalgia symptoms, at least it may prevent them from falling ill with something else. The last thing someone who feels miserable all day needs is another disease.